Welcome back once again to Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. I am, as always, Chat Show. How the hell are you? Where have you been? Why have we not heard from you? And what the hell is my problem? Anyone? I've been away. Never mind you. Why and how? Sam Levine filled in on a couple of shows. We were here last with Jerry Burns, the wonderful episode I highly recommend. Hey, go to your YouTube, your iTunes, your Earwolf, sample the show, and write to us and let us know what you think, you son of a bitch. Would that kill you? Anyone? Let me tell you about some upcoming shows. Very excited about today's guest. Which we'll get to in a couple of minutes after we continue to say hello. Next Sunday, the award-winning writer Carol Leifer. You've seen her name a million times in shows like Seinfeld and so on. I know her from stand-up comedy. She's brilliant beyond belief. Carol Leifer here a week from today. And then the following Sunday, Jane Lynch. Anybody? Somebody? Yeah. Followed by Jeff Goldblum. You heard me. Oh. Sure, there's some applause. Did you like Stan, the character Stan Rizzo? Rizzo. Stan Rizzo on Mad Men. Ends up with Peggy. Spoiler alert. Jay Ferguson, his name.
Sorry if you didn't watch this in the finale.
Yeah, sorry if you didn't watch the finale.
Peggy and Stan end up together.
Fuckheads. And then, so Jay Ferguson will be the 20th. And then Jamie Lee Fitness, otherwise known as Jamie Lee Curtis. On March 27th, that's Easter Sunday. Remember, we had an Easter Sunday show here once before with Henry Winkler, and there was an earthquake. Until, of course, during the Sunday show, there was an earthquake, and it wouldn't stop. It was one of those rolling ones where we on camera, you can see it during the interview. We're looking at each other like, is this still going?
And Henry Winkler, true to form, was very polite to the earthquake.
He was. And I even asked him to hit the table like the jukebox on the opening credits to stop the fucking earthquake.
My joke was stronger.
Yeah. There's Jamie Foxx, everybody. You remember her. Hi, Jamie.
Hello. I'm very excited about our guest today because I love character actors, obviously.
You collect them. Now, do you have...
I don't have
She collects character actors?
Well...
She has her and her friend put together a collection of baseball cards.
That are character actors. And you have one, but I forgot to ask him to...
See if you can get a photograph from him. Text to you, so we can at least show it to our guest
I have the prototype. I have the joke. I don't have the...
Get the damn thing on the phone, I ask him. Sam Levine, not here. He's Pensacon? Some Comic-Con. I think he's a Pensacon, according to the internet and his Twitter feed. Sam Levine will be back here next Sunday. Write to us, won't you? We're going to read a couple of your emails, I think, at some point today. Write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. That email address again, KPCS, that's us, Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. Subscribe to us, write a review, get off your ass. We ask you to be proactive from day one. Join us, won't you, for the nonsense. We have a wonderful sponsor today, which I'll also tell you about shortly. They are the Howl app, the Howl FM app, the wonderful folks that do that. We're very excited to have them. Say, are you in the Los Angeles area? Have you always wanted to be an intern on a show like this?
Sucker board every minute!
Boy, do I have a deal for you. You won't even be able to sue us the way so many interns have. You'll just get an incredible experience. Dare I say it, there I have. Why is it extra hot in here today? Anybody? The air's on?
I'm quite comfortable, so it must be
That's right.
warm.
Well, the Jews sweat when they swim, so this could be an issue. I wasn't expecting the heat today because it's cool out there. Man, oh man. Schwitzy, anyone? I'll keep this nearby. Let's not embarrass people. Let's just put it out there. So write to us, please. kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. Let us know how you do the show. I'll read one of the damn emails right now before we get to the guest because J-Mac, one of our producers, if not the, was so kind to send me several. A lot of Larry King submissions. Remember, you can in fact write your very own Larry King game, which you'll see our guest play at the end tonight, and get yourself a t-shirt. Here, I'll just put this over here. How about that? Kevin, longtime fan of yours, A Few Good Men, Usual Suspects, blah, blah, blah. We actually met once at Crackers Comedy Club in Broad Ripple. Oh, Lord. Indiana, after I won tickets to your show. Oh, so you got free tickets, and then you got to meet me as well. bonus. Bonus 2003. My, that has been a while. A dozen years plus. He goes on to say lovely things. I love your show. Unfortunately, your show is sometimes too interesting and I stay up later than I intend. Also, not all of your guests are my cup of tea. That's why I'm reading this email. That line right there. Still, the ones that I do listen to, I always seem to learn something new about them. I recently discovered your show on Hulu and enjoy it very much. None of the pages such as Twitter or Facebook seem to be up to date, so I have no clue if there's a new show today. And so who the guest will be. Also, P.S. Tell Jamie I do the A, blah, 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 and 2, blah, blah, blah thing like she does, but I stole mine from Paul Reiser from Mad About You.
Oh, but I see mine's from Vacation, Clark Griswold, which I'm assuming, I don't know if that's Chevy doing it or John Hughes writing it, but that would have predated Paul Reiser.
Oh, for sure.
But that's where I stole mine from.
Yeah, there you go.
And I do it constantly. Sometimes I had a Roman numeral in there as the third.
Sometimes you do.
Sometimes I do.
If you're feeling it. That's from Chris Goodnight, Martinsville, Indiana. So you see, the Facebook and the Twitter is behind because you guessed it, we need a new intern. Call back. All right, keep writing us if you would. I've got a couple more I'm going to read. But I'd like to get to our guest because we've kept him waiting. We really do enjoy doing this show. We have our 7th anniversary coming up. And if you want to win tickets, I've just decided to give 2 tickets away. We'll be doing it live from Largo at the Coronet Theater in Los Angeles, California, on Sunday, April 10th. Guests to be named. Last year we had Dana Carvey and Will Forte. There, I said it. So write to us at kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. Let us know why you should win free tickets. We'll announce winners on this very show. And now today's guest, well, if you began watching television 50 plus years ago, you may have first seen him at the age of 2.5 on the Andy Griffith Show, 1961, we're going to say. Which I believe was his first TV acting job.
I have my tax return
He has
1961.
Please welcome Mr. Clint Howard. Hello, Clint. You have a tax return from 1961.
It's about this big.
Sure.
And they taxed the crap out of me.
Well,
it was $100, and I think they taxed me like $27 on $100.
Well, now, wait a second. That sounds like the flat tax, only 27%.
Well, yeah, but when you only make $100, come on. Yeah. Although $100 for a 2-year-old was pretty good coin back in the day.
Yes, and as your parents, wonderful as they are, decided from day one to put your money away. I think you said once on Letterman that the Gentle Ben residuals and checks alone put away by your folks was enough to buy the 3-bedroom home in the Toluca Lake. At least that's what you said on Letterman.
Well, yeah, the bear bought my first house for me.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Now, I managed to sort of, lost that house, so to speak, in my sort of toxic Peter Pan era of my life.
Sure.
But things have certainly got back on track, and I live in Burbank, been married for 20 years now.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. It's hard. Marriage is hard.
Sure it is.
But I'll tell you what, so far it's been very fulfilling and settled into Burbank. I live about 3 miles from where my dad still lives.
Oh, man.
So.
Which means where you were raised in Burbank.
I live about a half mile from the high school where I graduated and a half mile from the hospital where I was delivered.
Dear Lord, that's pretty fantastic.
One of the rare Hollywood guys that was born and raised right here.
Yeah, no one seems to be from Los Angeles. It's pretty damn rare.
Every once in a while you get some kind of weird Hollywood type that actually went to Hollywood High School.
Yes.
And that's weird, because people that go to Hollywood High School, that's weird.
Yeah, somebody look up real quick, Rob Reiner, Dickie Dreyfuss, as he called him, and Albert Brooks all went to the same high school. I thought it was Hollywood High School. It might have been Beverly Hills.
Well, now those guys,
Yeah.
their families had kind of already come here and gotten settled.
Oh, their parents were, yes.
My dad and mom were just coming out to Los Angeles. In fact, my dad's agent, Rance Howard is my dad.
Yeah.
His,
Wonderful character actor of own damn self.
He is doing wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, his agent in 1958 told him to leave town. He was in New York City.
Right.
And so the agent said, the television is happening in Los Angeles, the Westerns are happening in Los Angeles. My dad was born on a horse. So they traveled to Los Angeles.
How difficult for your grandmother, by the way.
Born on a horse? Ba-dum-ching, yeah. I should have left you a little more air there for the punchline. I think maybe a lot more air for the punchline, don't you think?
How kind of you.
So that we were just getting established.
Yeah.
Now Ron immediately got on the Andy Griffith Show
Right.
when he came out here, and Dad was working as just a character actor, grabbing whatever westerns he could, and I came along, and then I started getting roles, and it seemed so outrageous that we were a family of working people.
A family of working actors.
But it was so normal.
To you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we played Burbank Park and Rec basketball.
Sure.
Baseball. I played Little League baseball. I played on the high school baseball team. Mom and Dad thought it was really important that we live as normal lives away from the workplace as possible.
Yeah.
So Ron and I, we went to the same Burbank public schools.
Yeah. Well, the Bridges boys, Jeff and Bo, went to Venice High School.
Yeah.
So their dad, an actor. There are pockets of acting families throughout the history of show business, but not many. You guys are a rare breed. The Carradines, I suppose,
Yeah.
all went to the same high school.
Well, listen, it was Dad. Ron and I have talked about this a lot. It was really Dad and his fortitude, Mom alongside of him, that had the chutzpah to go from Oklahoma to New York City, and he was a hick. I know my dad. My dad was a hick. He's a sophisticated hick now, but he truly had no business at all going to New York to break into show business.
What year was that?
It was probably about 51.
Oh, Lord.
And he got an industrial, which got him his SAG card, and he's like number 1,500 is his SAG number. And his first break was he got a part on the Broadway production of Mr. Roberts.
Holy crap.
And that kind of got him a toehold.
Yeah.
But the stories I heard about them surviving in New York City, Ron and I both feel like we wouldn't have the gumption or, the tenaciousness or whatever it took to stick.
Yeah.
Ron figures if Dad hadn't made the trip to New York, he probably would have been a school teacher or maybe a basketball coach, a high school basketball coach somewhere.
Sure.
And I know some of my relatives, and I'm not sure it would have turned out real good for me.
I think I know what you're saying. Yes. Well,
I have an answer for it.
Please.
You were thinking of Beverly Hills High School because that's where Albert Brooks were at.
Okay.
But Hollywood High School did have a great list of alumni. But you
Famous
were
graduates from Hollywood High School?
Yeah.
It's the riffraff.
Uh-huh.
The
You- but
famous
you were
people
thinking
I'm
Beverly
not
Hills.
so concerned about. It's the riffraff.
Yeah.
The wannabes and the never wases.
Yeah.
Those are the people that kind of scare me a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, they're called extras.
They're called agents. Oh, hey, Harry.
Wait for it. Now, so the earliest childhood memory, is it literally on a set? Because you're 2.5 years old when you start working.
I tell people I've been professionally acting now going on 55 years.
Yeah.
I've been paying attention for about 48 or 49
Sure.
years because it wasn't until about I was 7 years old that I started asking, what's the difference between a 20 millimeter lens and a 50 millimeter lens?
Well, technically, you should have had some other questions at age 7.
Well, yeah, no, but I was interested in paying attention.
Should I or shouldn't I be eating the Play-Doh?
Oh, no, I was well past that. I knew not to eat craft service before lunch. Back in the day, the craft service guy also swept up the horse shit.
Is that right?
On Gunsmoke, the guy would put out the coffee and the donuts in the morning,
Sure.
and then he would go to work on the main street there, which was always inside a soundstage, Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
That same guy. It didn't make the craft service seem quite so appealing.
No, it certainly wouldn't.
But my first memory.
Yeah.
This is going to sound warm and fuzzy, but it really is.
Please.
I remember my brother when he was must have been about 6 years old, and I had to have been I literally was crawling. I would crawl on his back, and he would read me the box scores from the LA Times sports section in the hallway of our little house. And we had one of those floor heaters, and he would lay there by the heater, read the sports section, and I would crawl on and I would listen to Maury Wills get a couple of hits and steal a couple of bases, and Sandy Koufax pitch. We were big baseball fans. And also my first recollection of show business, Mom and Dad were always big community theater people.
Oh, yeah.
Even when Ron was working here on the Andy Griffith Show, Dad was doing Burbank Community Theater.
Fantastic.
And I remember playing under the theater seats with Ron during rehearsals at the Burbank Community Theater. So my memories are hearing the actors and hearing Dad directing and hearing kind of by osmosis what was going on and
running around.
And running around.
Yeah, being kids. Well, that is the great part. So you can't read yet. How are you learning dialogue at 2.5?
Well, Dad, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Dad has always said I was as absolutely a pure method actor as he could possibly ever imagine.
Be a 2.5-year-old.
Yes.
Got it.
He would tell me the motive, tell me where my character had been,
right,
what I was trying to do, and then I would, they would coach me. Of course, I was saying the lines,
yeah,
but it was more about the attitude and what's he trying to do?
Yeah.
So,
he was explaining to you behavior, human behavior, and making it real.
I could teach acting in about 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'd be a terrible teacher because I couldn't soak any money from the acting students.
You need them to come back every week.
Yeah, listen.
Yeah.
Listen and know where your character has been and where he wants to go, because everybody's got a motive.
Right.
And then in the moment, what are their intentions? Like right here at the moment.
Yeah.
Right here, I'm getting through this interview with you. You seem like a very charming fellow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be as good as possible.
Right. Well, don't try to be good.
Well, of course, I'm not going to just start picking my nose and spewing foul language.
Oh, good. Yes, good. I see. Proper.
No, but I mean, that's basic.
Yeah.
I learned that.
Listen.
I had the great example. My 5-year older brother. Mm-hmm. Just think of like all the kids that turned out to be pretty good basketball players or pretty good baseball players. They always had older kids they played with.
Yeah.
Not only was my dad a mentor,
yeah,
and coach and inculcate and parent. When you put a child on the adult set, this is the adult working world, you better have some parenting going on.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Dad was there, but I also always saw Ron doing it. And if my 5-year-old brother could do it, I could do it. Come on, let me do it. I mean, that's sort of always the guy I was. And
sure.
Ron he is a better big brother than he is a movie director. And I swear that's true.
Well, I think that's a great way to put it, honestly, because you're well aware of everyone's fan appreciation and respect for him as a filmmaker and a storyteller. So there's no more clear intent than, well, if you think he's good at that, right?
Yeah. Well, I know how good of a director he is.
Sure. Well,
he's not a genius.
What is the number now, by the way, that he's directed and you've acted in?
Oh, I don't know. There's been a bunch I haven't in. God,
well,
I'm now becoming bitter now because see, he's having to shoot his movies over in Europe.
Oh boy.
And Rush, I wasn't in the Da Vinci Code movies. I didn't get that victory lap with Tom.
Sure.
I was in Frost Nixon, which was a highlight for me personally. Several of Ron's movies have been highlights, but Frost Nixon, I met Richard Nixon when I was about 10 or 11 years old.
Well, you buried the lead. Let's go to that story right now.
Okay. Well, when I was on Gentle Ben, sure, I got hired by Art Linkletter to do The Kid's Eye View of Washington, which was a kid's travel log.
It's kind of great.
Of Washington, D.C. Art Linkletter was a Republican, knew Nixon, and the coup de grace of this special was going to be Maureen McCormick, Darby Hinton, a young actor named H.B. Barnum III, and myself, going to interview Richard Nixon in the Oval Office.
And you're age 10.
Yeah. And they, in the pre-meeting...
In the Oval Office.
In the Oval Office, yes. It was cool. We did studio school in the basement of the Smithsonian Institute. So it was a really cool experience. And actually, Maureen McCormick and I, we had our first discussion about Preparation H.
What 10-year-old isn't discussing a suppository?
Well, she was a little older than me. I think she was getting it a little more than I was. And I say first conversation, it was our last conversation.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping there'd be first of many.
No.
You guys just talked to Preparation just the once?
Yes, no, that's all.
That's unfortunate.
You know what? It was in her hotel room's bedside nightstand right near the Bible. Well, somebody had left a tube of Preparation H in next to the Gideon Bible. And
I see the connection.
We thought it was all kind of clever. Yeah. But they let us ask questions. Or at the pre-meeting, they said, what would you like to ask the president? And I said, well, I've been working and paying taxes for 9 years now, and I don't get to vote. Isn't that taxation without representation?
10-year-old.
They didn't let me ask that question.
Really?
No, they threw me a softball. One thing I remember about President Nixon is he was sweating bullets and he had jowls on top of jowls.
He's not known as a sweater. Wait, yes he is.
He looked so bad. I actually, during a break in the filming, I actually asked Mom, because she went with me on the show. I said, is he sick? And she said, no, I don't think so. He's the president. So getting to watch Frank Langella and Michael Sheen do that material from Frost Nixon that Peter Morgan had written, and Peter Morgan wrote the screenplay that Ron shot. Right. It was a great experience, and I got to play the film director.
Yes.
Or not the film director, the interview director, which was my call. Ron wanted me in there somewhere, and I said, "Hey, bud, I got an idea. How about this guy?" And Ron thought it would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And getting to be there, it was like being under the basket with one of those mops at the Laker game, the World Championship, Celtics Lakers, and you're getting to watch the game, and every once in a while you got to go mop the sweat.
Sure.
I felt so lucky to be there and watching Michael and Frank.
Those two go at it.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, spectacular. Now, you're a baseball fan. And you've told a Nixon story. You've given me no choice but to offer a combination of those things myself. So I went to high school with Dave Righetti, Rags, pitching coach of the San Francisco Giants. Three World Series out of 6 years. It's not important. Listen, so he tells me, so he pitches a no-hitter as a rookie pitcher for the Yankees in 1983, and it's 4th of July when he pitches this no-hitter. Steinbrenner, the owner of the team at the time, has a guest with him that 4th of July to watch the game.
So it was a home game?
It was a home game. Richard Nixon is his guest at the home game when rookie Dave Righetti throws the no-hitter from the mound. Cut to, he's showered, he's getting dressed at his locker, he hears from behind him, Jamie, you want to do this part? What is Righetti? No, you don't? He hears from behind him,
David?
Righetti. Yeah, Righetti. And he turns around and there's the jowls and the sweat in the locker room of Richard Nixon.
He was a heck of a politician.
Yeah.
He probably was, he took it way over the edge. Listen, I have no memories of him actually being president at the time. I was just a little kid, but it's kind of a shame that he got trampled on. It's kind of a shame that he decided to trample on the Constitution, but I believe that that's something that probably he wasn't the first president to do, and he's probably not going to be the last president to do it. So anyway, it's just it was kind of cool that I got to meet him. I was always a fan, and to see him go down in flames was kind of sad. It was like rooting for a team that gets slaughtered in the Super Bowl.
Yes. It's interesting when they make examples when everyone, in fact, is doing it. Back to baseball again. You could say that about the
juice.
Yeah, juice.
Yes.
Yeah. The ones who got singled out. When and I say this to actors, if there was some lotion you could put on your arms that helped you heal faster.
Of course.
As an actor, the line would not stop forming from around
of
the corner.
Course.
Yeah. If it was not illegal to what we do, which it wasn't for many years, who wouldn't, as a way to get any edge, any advantage? Yes.
Well, listen, that's the rub of that competitiveness will create a vibe where, you know, you ain't trying if you ain't cheating. And
you're not trying hard enough if you're breaking some of the rules.
Corked bats.
Yes.
Sharpening your spikes.
Yeah.
Throwing a spitball, which by the way was legal for several years in Major League Baseball. I mean, it's all, the thing is
what did Ty Cobb not do to try to get an advantage on?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
The trouble is by actually using chemicals to genetically, or not genetically, to build giant human beings to play a sport, that might be a line that our society is just not ready to cross. I don't know whether we want rollerball.
Yeah, I'm glad that we don't. I'm glad we don't appear to. So I do want to touch a little more on the conversations that your dad had with you and your older brother about this life you were choosing, or this life initially that was choosing you, that started out as playtime, something fun. And so you let us know what it was like for him to sort of explain how you might learn your lines, or what you might be feeling while you say these lines. But how about the conversations, okay, so if you want to do this for real, here are a few things you need to know. Along with, as you said, let's make sure my boys have a normal life in school and friends. The professional conversations about, is this the business you wanted?
Well, we were always asked, do you want to take the job?
Yeah.
Do you want to do this?
Right.
It was always in our blood. I mean, Dad did it.
Sure.
Mom retired when she had Ron, but Mom was an actress.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like the thing to do. And as far as, we never didn't treat it like a profession. Dad always insisted, and he always explained to us that, you know, when we were working as juveniles in the business, we were working in an adult world. We were taking a job. We were taking the same job that Henry Fonda was taking. I did a movie with him called The Red Pony. And I mean, not that it was, I'm just name dropping, but that it was a job. So professionalism was from day one.
Sure.
Now, we were given every opportunity in the world to do lots of other things. I was a journalism student when I was in junior high and high school, and I actually won a journalism award. I actually won a scholarship to go to Pepperdine for journalism, and I went for about 6 weeks. And I realized, I kind of knew that I was going to be hitting my head on a glass ceiling pretty quick in the world of journalism. This is back pre-internet. And I was already making a pretty good living as an actor, and Dad reminded me that, you know, I've already established myself as an actor, and Dad has always been a big believer in my skills. And he just felt like, you know, he didn't try to turn me away from journalism, but he was just reminding me, hey, look, you know, you've got 15 years in the business. And I knew that. So the first chance I had to take work away from going to college, I did. And
what did you love about journalism?
I like to write. I feel like I'm pretty good at turning a phrase. And also, I'm pretty perceptive about people and pretty perceptive about situations. And I seem to always be able to ask a question that's not a gotcha question, but I hadn't thought about that question.
Yeah, that's the fun part.
I also fundamentally learned journalism at such a great, solid level. There was a teacher, the greatest teacher I ever had, Mr. Campbell, Steve Campbell. He was a journalism teacher, and the who, what, when, where, and I.
Where?
This was at Jordan Junior High School in Burbank, California. And he was a lifer in the Burbank School District. He ended up teaching senior, what do they call it, upper division English, honors English. Hard teacher, tough as nails teacher. And yet he taught me some wonderful things, both about life and about my place in it, considering who I was. See, because with Dad and Mom, it was just normal for me to be an actor, to do this as a job and have people recognize me. And Mr. Campbell, Steve, sort of was able to phrase it, or not phrase it, frame it for me to where I could really understand that, yeah, it was kind of special, but it wasn't really that important.
No.
Hey, listen, my dad always explained to both of us, we had jobs as kids, but so did a lot of our friends. I had a friend whose dad had a restaurant and he worked at the restaurant.
Sure.
I had a guy who had a paper route when he was 8 or 9 years old. And it's like, well, he's in the public eye, just not as many people are seeing him.
Sure.
But the whole thing about fame, it was something that Dad managed to always steer us away from in terms of it being a goal.
Right. Jamie, you were a journalist major, were you not?
I was at the Point Park University. From 2000 to 2004, like just before print died.
Yes.
Pretty much.
They were teaching you a dying business.
Pretty much.
Linotype. We were still dealing with linotype.
What is linotype?
It was after they had gone away from actually printing with type. It was the original form of being able to type it and then turn it into type instead of literally placing the type into the, what do they call it? The
machine?
No, the
printing press?
No, the block, the thing that made the paper. Now you're screwing me. It's a long time ago.
This was in the 1800s.
But it was just way before.
Yeah.
I actually knew a guy that I went to high school with that took correspondence course to go to law school without the internet.
Yeah.
And he ended up taking 2 typewriters to go pass his bar because he was afraid that his typewriter would break. Because back then it wasn't a laptop or handwriting, it was typewriter or handwrite. Well, he took 2 typewriters with him. He was an old journalism guy, and sure enough, one of his typewriters broke down and he managed to pass the bar using his second typewriter.
Truly amazing.
Yeah. I have three really good friends of mine who were in the journalism program that I went to, Jordan Junior High to Burroughs High School, that became attorneys. One is a major attorney at Disney, one is a mediator, very successful mediator, and one is a deputy district attorney.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, just kind of a nice pocket of people.
Yeah.
And I think, I really truly believe Steve Campbell, Mr. Campbell, had a lot of inspiration and was somehow managed to help whatever little spark he threw at his students. At least for us, it worked.
We like to take questions live from the internets, so Jamie will be forwarding those to me. Let's make sure I'm on the correct Wi-Fi. It's interesting how.
Now, what if it's a weird question?
Well, she won't forward it to me, and I won't ask it of you.
What if it is a weird? What if I want to ask?
What if you'd rather have a weird question?
One weird one. Probably won't happen.
It'll happen. It'll happen. I'm looking for one now. I know I've written a few.
You?
But first, we've seen some commercials for the upcoming new version of the Jungle Book. You, of course, worked on the original. I want to hear a little bit about the day that Walt Disney himself dropped by.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was first introduced to Disneyland in a baby carriage.
Sure.
Mom could not wait to take me to Disneyland. Of course, Ron was 5 years older, so he was being tugged along. We were going, and so I was fully ensconced in Disney. And I had done Winnie the Pooh and the Blustery Day. I played Roo. And then I came back and was doing Jungle Book, and I was playing the baby elephant, and I had to do this singing thing, which I'm not very much of a singer. But I was at the baby grand piano, or the grand piano, in the main recording stage at Disney. And I look in the engineer's room, and I see the shape of a very, very familiar person. And I look in, and my God, it's Walt Disney. And I'm just, so I was like 5 or 6 years old. And I'm over there by the piano, and I look through the engineering window, and I see it's Walt Disney. And he looks, and then I see the door to this recording stage. There's that little glass window that I see his face pop in. And I'm nervous and tickled. And he opens the door, and he takes about 2 steps into the recording stage, and he says, "You're doing a great job there, Clint." And he turns and leaves. And it's a memory that I will never forget.
Sure.
And I will never forget the exact moment when I heard that he passed away.
Yeah. Oh, Do you remember to this?
I was in my mom's vehicle, in my mom's car. We were crossing the overpass on Olive Avenue in Burbank when I heard he had died.
Not too far from the Disney studio?
Oh no, right there. We were always in the shadows. And I was never really a Disney kid. I'd done a couple of Disney animated things. And after Walt died, Ron and I played brothers in a Disney movie called The Wild Country with Vera Miles and Steve Forrest.
Holy crap.
Vera Miles was first of all, I'd worked with Vera a few times, and she's a wonderful lady. She did not really have her heart into show business. She was Miss Runner-Up at Miss America. She was Miss Kansas. And I remember her telling us all that she was so petrified when she got to she was like the final, 3 or 4 people, and she just realized that it was something she did not want to be, was Miss America. And
That's when she realized it?
Yeah. Well, she was naive. She was from Kansas.
And also, once that train starts moving down the tracks, what a hell of a time for that realization.
She had a wonderful career. She was a nice lady, and she retired. And I'll tell you what, we can do this on the internet. Maureen O'Hara and Vera Miles. I have been crying, hugging the breasts of those 2 women for days on end, working on movies. And I'll tell you, that's not a bad place to be when you're an 11 or 12-year-old boy, which is hugging the breast of Maureen O'Hara.
Okay. Let's not argue about it.
No. If you argued, I think you were weird. It's just one of the benefits of being a child actor.
Sure. Then you must remember other female companionship in the throes of a TV or movie set.
Well, I did have kind of my first relationship, so to speak, on a movie that I did when I was just coming of age, called Evil Speak.
Evil Speak, coming of age being age?
Oh, I was about 20.
Oh, all right.
And it was kind. First of all, Dad had been with me as an actor up until I was about 17 years old, and he pretty much let me go. And you have to have an adult on the set until you're 18. So Rock and Roll High School was the first movie I did on my own, and that was pretty crazy because that was the Ramones, and it was Roger Corman, and it was just craziness. And then I got the lead in this horror movie called Evil Speak, and for the first time in my life, I got to be a part of the creative sort of trio. There was the cinematographer and the director and myself, and we worked on the picture, and it became a video nasty over in Britain, which means that they didn't like it in the sake of their rating system. They were going to give it an X rating here in the United States, and they finally had to cut enough out of it to give it an R. And it won the week in Los Angeles, and it won the week in New York. And the people that released it just didn't quite have it together to really give it a rollout. It was sort of a male version of Carrie. So it underperformed. But for me, it was a real coming of age experience.
It must have been.
Well, yeah, listen, getting laid is something you remember. But also, I had my first 24-hour day on that movie.
Oh, wow.
I worked 24 straight hours. It was a set that we had to be out of, and it was a church in South Central Los Angeles that had been condemned. And this company, they were going to build the 105 freeway through there. And this company... They did. The company said, let us just rehab the inside of this church before you guys tear it down. So they let them do it. The old minister saw the inside of the church completely refurbished and literally dropped down on his knees and said, "Praise the Lord, my church has been saved." Nobody had the heart to tell the guy it was like a demonically possessed movie where we were going to blow the thing up at the end.
No, that's a tough thing for him to find out later.
Well, he was an old guy. They just kind of wheeled him out.
I see.
But it was a 24-hour day, and it was a heck of an overtime day.
Yes, it must have been. And at some point during the production, you had sex. Was this the co-star?
No. I would never. I don't do that.
We don't kiss and tell?
No, we don't kiss
Good for you. I want to discuss another moment in time because it was for me too. We're only a year or two apart in age. And I remember was it 67 through 69, the original Star Trek ran on NBC?
Yeah, I think I did mine in 66, but I'm not sure when it aired.
Well, because yours was the third episode, I believe.
It was one of the first ones they did.
Yeah. It was the first time I remember, well, first of all, I was enamored with the show in its original airing as a wee lad. And there was a child on it, which was quite unusual. First of all, it's only 3 episodes in. And the child, alien, even for some reason at my age, 8, 9, 10 years old, whatever it was, felt there was something strange going on between what the child actor was doing and the voice that I was hearing. It wasn't until years later that I was able to put 2 and 2 together. What is it like for you, or was it like? Did they tell you ahead of time, well, look, we're going to do something with the voice?
Oh, yes. I was playing a 600-year-old alien. They
just happened to look like an 8-year-old boy.
Which was an odd bit of casting, if you really think about the Star Trek people. They were not going for a child.
No.
They were going for harmless.
Right.
But he was, the episode was a guy that had doomed them to death.
Yeah.
They were going to die. The Enterprise was going to die. And as it turned out, it was this harmless, almost cherub-looking alien.
Yeah.
And they knew they were going to run my voice. They told me they were going to run my voice through a synthesizer. I had to learn the dialogue.
Yeah.
But I knew I was an adult. And I remember specifically lots of, not rehearsal, but my dad would work with me. We practiced. We were so well prepared every day I walked onto the set. Because my dad felt like the most important thing that he could do would be prepare his sons for battle.
Sure.
And it was actually pretty interesting. Very early on, Ron and I both came to realize we were a lot more prepared than any of the adults.
Oh, yeah.
And in fact, I had the experience, I did an episode of the Red Skelton Show. And I was about 10 years old, and my dad told me about improvisation for the first time in my life. There was a man who came and was a stand-in during rehearsals. And when we did the blocking and the dress rehearsal, it was a stand-in reading the lines. And then Dad explained to me that don't get frustrated or don't get scared if Mr. Skelton goes off book a little bit, because he's known to kind of say things extemporaneously.
Make them up.
As it turned out, it made me a little nervous because I got my cues, you know. As it turned out, Red vamped and was great and was funny and led me right back to the line every time. Wow. So Red knew who he was dealing with, and I had the experience of getting to experience improvisation for the first time. And it was, all because, well, Dad was there, nurturing and teaching.
Right. It's pretty spectacular. Those of you who aren't familiar with the episode, so...
Star Trek. We're talking about Star Trek.
No, it's okay. The reason that the folks on the Enterprise, the bridge, the captain, the crew, thought that they were in peril was because on the screen in front of them appeared, yes, a very odd and older-looking bald alien with a long face and a scary voice.
Angry.
Basically saying, prepare to die.
Yeah.
The name of that character, did he present himself with a name?
No. We were just part of the Fesarius, was our ship, and we had decided that they were going to die. And all they were seeing was the puppet.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden...
Throughout the whole episode, by the way. I mean, it was quite a long time before it was revealed that the man behind the curtain was this sweet little boy.
Yes.
Who's 600 years old, but appears as a child in our year.
And apparently all I really seemed to be doing was just kind of trolling around the galaxy, the universe,
playing,
looking for somebody to drink with, because I was drinking Tranya. I was always, but first, the Tranya.
Yeah.
And sure enough, the Enterprise kept an actor, I think his name was McCoy, was the character's name. He stayed along with me. And he was never to be in another episode of Star Trek again.
He stayed behind.
He stayed behind and drank with me.
Not Dr. Bones McCoy.
Oh, no. It was an actor.
Oh, the actor.
It was an actor that was left behind in the third episode of Star Trek. He was kind of originally next in line to be Captain Kirk. And he got left with me, and he started drinking Tranya, and he's never going to be seen again.
So the creators of the show, 3 episodes in, decide we got to get rid of this guy. Yeah. This is Shatner has had it with this actor.
And I remember,
why don't we leave him behind with the kid on the planet?
They asked me if I wanted to shave my head, which I immediately said no. I had to go to school.
Yeah.
So they put a skull cap on me, and I remember I had my dad take Instamatic photos of me getting my skull cap on.
Right.
And Instamatic photos of me on the set, on the bridge of Enterprise.
Roll this one over one more time
now
so we can zoom in. Give us the snow effect.
These were the characters. They were action figures that the Star Trek people had manufactured, and I had these a long time ago.
Yeah.
And last July 2015, I decided I was going to become a snow globist. And I decided to put these characters into a snow globe.
Well, did you decide to just make one to see if you liked it, to see if you're any good at it, or you decided I'm going to make a bunch of these?
No. It's one at a time.
Sure.
And the one thing I quickly realized is they are living, breathing things that will finally become unglued, and they will die.
What does that mean?
Well, there's glue in there. It's a chemical reaction. No matter what you put, first of all, you can't use epoxy. And no matter what you put in there, it's finally chemical reaction. Water is not good. And it will finally come unglued. So I've made 11. I've given a couple away as Christmas presents.
Sure.
And I tell people, please take plenty of pictures, because you never know when
glass is gonna separate from its base.
I have a tradition. The first night, once I've glued it and I have it in place, I put it in the bathtub just to make sure. Because the first time I was so nervous, Baylock and his puppet buddy spent the night in the bathtub because I was sure it was going to leak all over everything.
And so when you set out to make the first one, is this something you instantly are gathering as much information as possible, or you're making the shit up as you go?
Kind of making the shit up as I go. I talked about keeping a ledger, keeping a diary, and keeping track of which glues worked. I didn't do any of that.
No.
Did
anyone show you anything?
No.
You just
figured it out.
Jumped in.
Do-it-yourself kit, the same sort of instructions you get with an IKEA piece of furniture.
There's always an extra tool left over and a piece of
the stick figures and stuff. But I managed to be successful. And as it turns out, the fellow who does the do-it-yourself snow globe kits, I become friends with him because he happens to live very close to where I live. I looked the first time, I was sending my information to him, and I was looking at his address and his area code, and it was very, very, very familiar.
Yeah.
And it turns out it was about 5 minutes from my house. And he's told me, I think when I was buying my 11th one, he told me, he goes, nobody's bought more than 2 of these.
And what were you buying from him? Just the glass globe itself?
It's
a kit.
It's a piece of glass.
Right.
And it's a rubber gasket that goes in down here.
Right, that sets into the base.
And then you use silicone glue to then finally glue the base to the glass. But then primarily when you flip it over, the water pressure from what's inside the globe will help keep the seal of the globe. And it is the same basic principle that they make all snow globes with. All snow globes are still handmade.
Wow. The so-called snow that's inside, do we want to spoil the magic of what it actually is?
Well, it's plastic from China.
You mean you can't use American plastic?
You know what? So far, it seems like that the Chinese have the market cornered on snow globe snow. Now, one more here.
That doesn't seem fair.
The Chinese.
How many 11-year-old Chinese kids have to make plastic snow before they're allowed to have lives?
Now, this one is a little more of my creative, artistic self. Now, this one is called A Whirling Dervish Gathers No Blood Clots. And now this isn't. That's
Here, let's move things from behind it so we get a nice shot. If you don't
The
mind.
interesting thing about snow globes is that what's behind them is magnified, because originally the snow globe was invented as a magnification tool.
Of what's inside of it.
Well, no. You see, if you look.
Oh, I see. Yes.
You can see. Well, about the time that the inventors were inventing this as a means of magnification, they learned how to grind glass, and it made magnification useless.
I see.
So then somebody had invented this.
So before there was a magnifying glass that was flat, it was round as a way to magnify a newspaper writing or what have you.
What I have found after.
Well, wait, don't get rid of that one yet.
Well, hold on.
okay.
I'm doing another one here. Now this one is the Elvis coup de grace snow globe, and I figured if it was Elvis, it had to be ridiculous. And I know in the studio lights, we probably aren't going to really see.
Oh, we'll see plenty.
Now we have outside the snow globe.
Right, just so you know, my fear is that one of these come apart right here.
Oh, no.
Right now.
Now, there are two dancers with Elvis,
I'll say.
and I've named them.
Sonny and Red?
No.
Oh.
Skanky Bitch and Pasty Bitch.
Well,
It gets awful lonely out in the garage.
Let's talk first about Pasty Bitch, because I think we all can assume the story behind Skanky Bitch.
Pasty Bitch doesn't have any underwear.
Okay.
And I didn't have anything to do with that.
Nope.
Now, the Skanky Bitch had underwear, but she was kind of skanky. Pasty Bitch was just kind of white, and then that's why I named her Pasty, and then I realized she didn't have the underwear, so they're Elvis dancers.
They seem like they would be perfect with the king as dressing.
Yes, well, listen, Elvis is the king, and he's actually at Area 51 performing for the Aliens. And I do have a companion snow globe for the King snow globe, and that is Michael Jackson.
Is this the setting, Area 51?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the dramatic
Yes.
setting you've created?
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
Okay. We wanted to know the connection between...
Oh, no, well, Elvis and MJ, the Aliens
Neither
just
one
love.
died.
They're alive and well,
Both-
performing at the Art Bell Pavilion at Area 51.
The Art Bell Pavilion. That's an inside joke that I personally enjoy very much, coming from Pahrump, Nevada. Live, Art Bell.
I didn't realize it, but Art Bell did. He's seen aliens.
Oh yes, no question about it.
I was doing some deep research on Google.
Yeah, he's made sure that there's a straight line between your effort of research and him with aliens.
I didn't realize it.
It's out there.
He's like the Babe Ruth of I don't know, but he may have even been abducted.
Let's hope.
He was something.
It would explain a few things.
Yes. Anyway, the Area 50, I actually, in the Michael Jackson snow globe, there are some aliens that are perched watching in their alien luxury box.
Now, you built every piece here.
Well,
you specifically designed the aspects of it. What's happening here? What is this like?
It's a railing. It's a popsicle stick. You see,
It's fantastic.
To me, it's the spirit. It's the spirit of the effort.
Of course.
As opposed to being, because there are people that have said, oh, you can use three-dimensional modeling. No.
How about your imagination?
I'm 12 years old.
Sure.
And I like to imagine.
Yeah.
And I've had so much fun I've been the snow globist now for about 8 months.
Is that right?
Well, I had to quit playing golf.
Have you had any of them commissioned? Like, could I commission a snow globe
You could.
with a theme or a character?
You could.
And then
the federal government probably could. It's that kind of expensive. No.
Federal,
Well, no, actually.
let's leave them out of it if possible.
No, it's amazing how expensive it would be, and I'm embarrassed. People have asked me to sell my snow globes. First of all, I could never ship them because they would come in wet shards of glass.
Sure.
This is fairly delicate, and I would not want FedEx.
By the way, when I say commission, it's like commissioning a piece of art, which I consider this to be. I fully appreciate and
using art very, very loosely. If you
expect to
call
pay far too much money, and I expect to be able to send my assistant to go pick it up. There'll be no shipping involved.
Well, what would you like? What would be a good?
Well, I would like to challenge Jamie, the head writer of the chat show, if not my better half, to come up with what the theme would be. And I'm suggesting here on camera in front of the world to see that if you were of mind, I think we would like to commission a work of art.
Oh, I've done them before.
Yeah.
Now, normally, I drive creatively, will drive the process, but actually, Ron.
Oh no, we want the creative process to be driven by you.
I made one for Ron, and actually, I drew Ron's wife Cheryl in the Secret Santa, where we all have to give a $20 gift. And,
Sure.
And what am I going to give Cheryl?
A $2,000 snow globe.
Well, I made a snow globe of Ron's first car was a white Volkswagen, and they fell in love in the white Volkswagen.
What kind of Volkswagen?
Just a little
it a
bug,
bug?
a little bug.
Yeah.
In like 1971, probably. Anyway, I did a snow globe of this white Volkswagen, and they don't sell white Volkswagens, so I had to strip a Matchbox car down, get it clean, and paint it white.
Sure.
And I have it off of a ramp, breaking through a barrier, and I have it a wild ride. That's what I named it for Cheryl, and she cried when she got it.
She must have. This is what I want. I want to make Jamie cry with a piece of art designed and created and driven by you.
Well, the next one I'm doing actually is not. This is part of the Snow Globist Spring Summer collection.
All right.
And it's, even though it's February, I'm about ready to finish it.
Well, you have to work in advance.
Crappy the Clown is going to be on the commode, going to the bathroom.
Well, sure.
I figure you got to have a clown taking a crap in a snow globe.
Well, if not for you, it wouldn't exist. Crappy the Clown is a character of your own creation?
Yeah.
How's that for alliteration?
He's in the process of being created now. Getting his...
The name Crappy the Clown.
Well, I didn't want to call him Shitty the Clown.
I'm glad we're clear about that.
Diarrhea the Clown?
No.
Well, Crappy the Clown also
He's
has
a
a
happy
nice
clown.
alliteration.
He's a happy clown.
So there you go.
I actually did a snow globe that's a snow globe inside of a snow globe.
Wait for it. What's happening within the inner snow globe?
It's an owl,
All right.
and it cost me $18 to buy this little snow globe.
Uh-huh.
So it was, I kind of try to watch. Like, I don't put diamond earrings in a snow globe.
Yeah, no.
I don't put a bar of gold in a snow globe.
No.
There have been things that I've looked on the internet. They've been perfectly sized, they've been collectible, and they've been way too much money.
Yeah.
So I look elsewhere. The Grinch was wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, Jim Carrey and Universal made these action figures that are just the right size. Now, I don't believe they did much business, but they sure make for great snow globes.
Yeah, well, yes. Now, what if, okay, well, we'll talk.
Well, yeah.
We'll talk off camera about what the,
They make pornographic snow globes.
no. What the, I'll leave that in your capable hands. But for the one that I would like to commission, there will be just like a suggestion of a person, place, or thing, and then we'll let your creative process pursue the ultimate visual.
I would be more comfortable with maybe letting you guys kind of know what I've been thinking, because you see, if you leave it to my own devices,
And it shows up.
it's liable to be really, really poor taste.
Or just heartbreaking.
Well, yeah, heartbreaking, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like somebody slitting their throat or slitting their wrists.
Yeah.
That would be a.
Well,
Well, the whirling dervish.
Yeah, can we have a little more story behind the whirling dervish?
The whirling
I feel like
dervish.
the whirling dervish.
The whirling dervish was a dusting accident. He was actually.
Move Elvis out of the way.
He was purchased in Istanbul at the Grand Bazaar.
When you say he, you mean the figurine inside?
Yes, and he
You
was.
personally purchased him?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
And he made it back home with two hands, and he made it a long time with two hands. And dusting accident, he fell and lost one of his hands. At which point I immediately realized, I went, well, that's a whirling dervish, he's got no hand. And then with a little bit of blood, he's got no blood clots. He's spinning around so fast, he can't clot.
Nice. And so then this is not Chinese plastic.
This, from my understanding,
you worked outside the box.
This is very, very poor, kind of cheap Turkish porcelain. And the chair is a fairy chair, and the base is the bottom of it's a turned over cup for furniture.
Alrighty. Yeah, sure.
I try to use all sorts of odd things. Like on the Star Trek one, I use a pin, and I've changed it and make it a piece of furniture. It's just
right.
It's just to occupy my time. Listen, you know how actors are.
Yes.
Idle
You must
time.
have something else to do.
Golf for years was my thing. And
Yes.
I've had both hips replaced. They've sawed off both legs and hammered on new artificial hips. And the second one made it so I just had no timing playing golf.
Yeah.
I hit it like an 87-year-old woman in leg chains. It was just frustrating. And I practiced. I couldn't get good enough to even feel like it was worth it. And after about 3 months, I said, you know, guys, I'm parking this.
Yeah. And that's when snow globes became your passion?
Well, it took a while.
Sure.
You know.
Right. Can we come back
Wait, hold on. Let's not say snow globes are my passion. That sounds really weird.
Good. I'm glad you said it. Let's call them.
It's something I do.
Let's call it your hobby.
Yes.
One of your hobbies. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's probably my only hobby.
All right. I want you to very carefully set those back onto the table so nothing
Yes.
ill happens to them while I read this ad from our sponsor today. Would that be okay?
Sure. Are you
All
going
right.
to focus on one of the snow globes, or are you focusing on your face?
Well, initially, you know what? Let's do both. To our editor up in the crow's nest, let's go from one snow globe to the other. Can you handle that? A little slow
Oh,
transition from one to the next. You've got the capability.
this advertiser is either going to be really mad or really happy.
Start on me with my camera, and then slowly transition to 1, 2, and 3 snow globes. Today's show is sponsored by Howl.fm. It's like Netflix for podcasts. You heard me. With Howl Premium, you get exclusive access to a brand new Howl original dramatic miniseries called Fruit. Fruit. The series tells a story of an African-American professional football player who struggles with his sexuality. Fruit is written and directed by Issa Rae, who is best known as the creator of the critically acclaimed web series The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl. She also writes and stars in the upcoming HBO comedy Insecure. Dare you think she's only working in the interweb? HBO has grabbed this amazing talent, and now she's writing and starring in the upcoming HBO comedy Insecure. The first episode of Fruit debuted February 3rd, and a new episode premieres every Wednesday. You can hear the provocative drama only with Howl Premium, where you also get exclusive access to more than 120 hours of original miniseries and audio documentaries, plus dozens of comedy albums. New episodes and albums are released every week. All the archives of WTF with Mark Maron, for example, and all Earwolf and Wolf Pop shows are only now available on Howl.fm. Get access to all the exclusive content for your iPhone, your Android phone, and on the web for only, how about this, $4.99 a month. Less than $5. People, what the fuck do you want from me? I'm giving you magic and deals at the same time. With the promo code KEVIN, K-E-V-I-N, you get your first full month as a free trial.
Oh my God.
To redeem your promo code, make sure you create your account on the web at howl.fm and enter the code KEVIN at checkout. Remember, to hear the new Howl original drama Fruit, along with dozens of original audio miniseries, go to howl.fm. That's HOWL.FM, as in Mary. And use the promo code KEVIN, also as in Mary, for 1 free month free trial of Howl Premium.
When you broke into this business,
yes, sir.
Did you imagine
Nope.
there would be the platforms?
Nope.
It is unbelievable to me.
I thought I would be diving from platforms at one point.
Really, were you a diver?
I was.
Or were you being shoved?
I was mostly being shoved. That's an excellent way to put it. I was mostly being shoved. Yeah.
It's just that people can work their chops, whether it be comedy or drama, video, YouTube, Funny or Die.
Yeah.
These are all things I remember, it was working on television, working in a movie, or maybe a USC student film.
Sure.
That was it.
That's all you had. You could do theater.
Yeah, well, you can't really do theater when you're a little kid. I mean, it was hard. In fact, you know what? I've never done a play in my life.
Yeah. Not one.
Not one.
Not even a school play.
No.
Who has time for this?
I was sort of above the school play. They didn't really.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask
me.
you about. When you're 10 years old and you're starring in a television show that was a wildly successful television show, I remember as a kid, there was event television before the term was created. Everyone my age, everyone I knew at school, everyone was watching this show. So you go back to your school to have a so-called normal life where the other school mates are also watching the show. What is happening to you at school?
My core group of friends were already established.
Yeah, sure, but what about the other hundreds of kids that weren't your friends?
Well, okay, when I was in elementary school, it wasn't quite such a big deal. Of course, petrified as shit going into junior high school.
Well,
Did not sleep the night before I went to junior high school. Stayed up all night with Dad worrying.
About?
Just going, new kids.
Yeah.
There was going to be ninth graders there.
Starting over. Jamie, you remember the transition from elementary school to middle school?
Well, I did not care for middle school.
Right? It was the awkward years.
Yeah,
everyone.
that was like worst years of my life.
Yeah.
One of my good buddies, the mediator, who's done very well for himself, his name is Gig Kyriakou. Well, that's not what his parents called him. His name is Kyriakous Kyriakou. And his mom, he was a Greek Cypriot. And his mom and his dad called him Kiki. And he was known in elementary school as Kiki Kyriakou. And I told him in summer between 6th and 7th grade, I go, you've got to come up with a better name because you're going to get killed in junior high school.
You had his back.
I had his back.
As a 12-year-old, you had his back.
I remember seeing They Shoot Horses, Don't They? And the character actor Gig Young.
Yeah.
And Kiki, in my mind, instantly in that one moment became Gig. And I said, you should call yourself Gig. Gig liked it. And from that point forward, to this day, he is Gig Kyriakou Mediator. And he said if
so
it
his
wasn't...
profession is in his name now.
Oh, yeah. And the name I gave him.
Yeah.
Gig Young. And he said he probably never could have made it. If he had gone to junior high school being Kiki, he would have died.
He would have been a dead man.
He would have been a dead man. So I had that angst. Listen, we got picked on a little bit. My brother got picked on some. My brother got picked on.
Everyone got picked on in junior high. Jamie, wasn't that the love of junior high, the middle school?
Yeah.
Wasn't that the worst part of it?
When you're Opie, or when you're the kid with the bear, I was lucky because I had Ron running interference for me through all these schools.
Sure.
So, but Ron played high school basketball. Can you imagine being in the opposing gym, shooting a couple of clutch free throws at the end of the game, what the opposing team's cheerleaders were chanting?
No, please tell me.
O-B, O-B, O-B. I don't know about you. I don't think I'd want to be 13 or 14 years old and be called Opie.
So would you then suggest that on the set of Willow, when Ron was directing the film and went to the restroom, I got the crew together to whistle the theme to the Andy Griffith Show?
Have you ever worked for him again?
When Ron... No. Come to think of it. No, I haven't. I've wanted to. Interesting. I never put it together until this moment. Probably shouldn't have done that? I see. Well, that makes sense. It never made sense before.
It's probably too late to apologize.
No. I don't think it is.
No, I'll tell you what. I think, Ron has, first of all, he's a great dude and a fighter. And he was always kind of a nerd. And he had to kind of plow through that. And I believe he's always kind of kept that a little bit like a ball player who might get picked in the later rounds of a draft, who uses it to his benefit when it comes time to the game. Because Ron went back to one of his reunions, and apparently one of the kids that had picked on him, he teed into him. And I mean, he tore him a new one in a very intelligent, smart way.
Who keyed into who?
Ron teed into the guy that used to pick on him.
Oh, liking this.
Like, oh, I see your life's turned out kind of bad.
So really, it's everyone who ever got picked on in school going back and having an opportunity to rip the bully a new one.
Well, we were talking about comics having, angst or bitterness or something, using it as a driving force. I think everybody who's creative has something that they use to sort of help propel them, to help get out the stuff that maybe is above and beyond, a bland person.
Yeah.
I know I have it.
No question.
And I think Ron has it.
Yeah.
And Jim Carrey was one of the most brilliant, interesting performances I've ever seen from an actor.
Yeah.
Because what he did in August, as being the Grinch in a rehearsal stage in Bermuda shorts, working on his moves, and we're all going, Jesus, it's a little broad. By the time he got into the suit, by the time he got into the eyes, first of all, the last thing you want to do is be funny when you're in that much makeup. And he was just so perfect. And his transformation from the rehearsal stage to performance was amazing. Now, he's kind of a piece of work, but I admire him greatly. He didn't hold anybody up. He's made a lot more money for the industry than he's cost him. So God bless Jim Carrey.
Certainly has.
Yes.
Yeah. We're quickly running out of time. Can you believe we've gone an hour and a half already?
Jesus.
I know. Clearly, we're having a good time.
I guess so.
Because I am told that time flies, and money, when you're having a good time. Hitters Anonymous with Linda Blair. I met Linda Blair once. I was at a radio station promoting something, and she was coming through because it was Halloween time, and at the nearby giant Halloween scare fest, she was being featured, and so she came in the radio station and signed a can of pea soup to me. I have a can of pea soup.
Did you ask her for a
signed
can of pea
by
soup?
Linda Blair?
Did you ask her for the can of pea soup?
I certainly did.
Wow.
Well, she had them with her. It wasn't like I said, hey, somebody go out and get me a can of pea soup, will you?
Linda was one of those ones. When I met her, first of all, Exorcist was one of the most memorable movies I've ever seen.
It's the only time I've left the theater and went into the bathroom and sat for a few minutes thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to go back in. Yes.
And getting to meet her was a real thrill. And she turned to me and said, when I was a kid, I wanted to be you so bad. And another person, I was at a Hollywood party at the prime of Eddie Murphy's zenith. Silver outfit, and this is not an on-camera thing. This is just Eddie Murphy being Eddie Murphy. And we're at this party, and
Sure.
He turns to me, goes out of his way to come up to me and goes, when I was a kid in New York, I used to watch you on Gentle Ben. I thought that was the greatest thing.
Yeah.
And he spent 5 minutes talking with me about how much
100%.
he lived in the city, and how much he would break away, and in his mind he would think about Gentle Ben and my adventures.
No, it's iconic and historical for anyone who grew up at that time, and will always be. In fact, it makes sense to me that Eddie would feel that way, because anyone who then devotes their own life to the performing arts saw this kid on this television show, if they were similar in age, and thought, well, I could do that.
Yeah.
Or I want to do that.
I wish I could say that I chose to be in Gentle Ben. I've had nothing to do with this, Kevin. This has just been absolutely just luck.
Well, the internet wants to know how you feel about the dramatic reenactment of Gentle Ben, otherwise known as The Revenant.
Haven't seen The Revenant. Is that the anal bear sex scene?
There's no sex. Anyone who thinks that the bear was raping Leo, if I may forgive me, is an idiot.
Also, the bear, it's a mama bear.
It's a mama bear. First of all, no penis available to the mama bear. It wasn't even a fisting. Folks, here's what happened. Leo is forward facing camera.
Well, wait, this
mama
is a
bear
spoiler.
behind him, ripping into his back with her face and teeth. And he's looking towards the camera going, ugh! And somehow people got into their mind that there was anal probing. He was being eaten.
By the female bear?
Yes, because there were baby bears nearby and the mother was being protective.
This is a whole spoiler alert. I haven't seen that movie.
By the way, the movie is way more than what I just told you.
Hey, I'll tell you what.
And that's in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Gentle Ben, they did a TV movie of Gentle Ben several years ago. Dean Cain played the lead.
Holy crap.
And I was going
As the kid?
No. Dean Cain was the Dennis Weaver character.
Yeah.
And originally the book was set in Alaska. So they were going to redo it, make Gentle Ben in Alaska. And they were going to have me be the sidekick.
Oh, wow.
And I said, great, that'd be fun. They were offering me scale. And I said, are you serious? Because I was the kid. There's one trip on the Rosie show, and no. And I said, no thanks, guys. I've turned 2 things down off the top of my head. I did that I didn't do because of the dough, and I did not do the original Flintstones because I was going to be one of the bowling buddies, Barney and Fred's bowling buddies, and I did not want to wear the outfit. The fur skin loincloth thing. I was not
for the movie.
For the
starring
movie,
John Goodman.
Starring John Goodman, I was not going to get in that wardrobe.
Yeah,
so that's the other movie I passed on.
Yeah. Well, listen, those are 2 very good decisions, if I may. I stand by them in front of a court of law. Now, before you get out of here, I think I may have threatened you with having to do something we call the Larry King game. Shall I reintroduce you to?
I know all about the Larry King game.
Okay, good. So there's your camera. When you're ready, and let's put Elvis in front of Larry. Perhaps he wants to comment on that. I don't know. He doesn't have to. You've already got props. Look, he's got glasses. Here we go. Clint Howard, Larry King game, take 1. Action.
We're going to have details with the Elvis Presley proctology report. But first, the caller from Piscataway, line 2.
And that's how you play the Larry King game, right here on Kevin Pollak's Chat Show. Thank you, Clint Howard, honestly and truly.
Well, it's been my pleasure.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what I wanted, for us to have a fun and nutty, but also informative conversation. Truly blessed, honestly. Thank you.
Well, and I appreciate your work. And when I found out you were interested, it was just a no-brainer.
Good. Thank you, man. Thank you. Man. Please sit there uncomfortably though for 90 seconds while I wrap things up for the folks at home.
Oh.
But yeah, exactly. That is the perfect response. Clint Howard, ladies and Jews, that's how you do it here. Next week, we'll check the Twitter, we've got the next 4 or 5 weeks booked. We're back, we're happy as ever. We're going into our 7th anniversary coming up very soon. So we've got Carol Leifer next Sunday, followed by Jane Lynch, followed by Jeff Goldblum, followed by Jay Ferguson, and then Jamie Lee Curtis, the end of March, Easter Sunday. Please join us for whatever you can. Write to us as always. kpcsfanmail@gmail.com. I want to thank our crew. Kenny Chen getting it done as the floor director. Let's just give him that title, damn it. Samantha Ward, makeup to the stars, up in the booth.
Yeah.
We've got the Mike Duman and the Jason McIntyre. Jamie, thank you. Sam Levine, Pensacon, still signing photos of himself.
You thank the guy and he's not even here?
Not even here. Sean Casey and the fine folks, the West Side Comedy Theater.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Come see a show here at the West Side Comedy Theater. Until next time, and as always, get out of my face.